Today, an offer was made by the defiant Wisconsin 14 to meet with Governor Scott Walker if, and only if, Governor Walker would travel to the border with Illinois to meet them there. Governor Walker's response, as most of yours would be, ridiculous. The 14 of the group are Democratic state senators who fled Wisconsin more than 2 weeks ago to block a measure that would take away power from public sector unions. The standoff has drawn national attention, inspiring union members across the country to demonstrate in solidarity. Take a listen.
Men and women, stand in solidarity.
Wisconsin, you're inspiring the people of Ohio. You're inspiring the people of Indiana. You're inspiring the people of Missouri.
The people united will never be defeated.
And New Hampshire. And Pennsylvania.
I say union. You say union. Union. Yes. Union. Yes.
You're inspiring people all across this country.
Joining me now is Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. A little comical, all they're going through. How broad is this movement? Or are they having trouble getting people involved?
Well, you have a very, very committed minority here, Judge, and they are out there marching, and that's their right. The First Amendment says they can march and write and protest, and that's a good thing. And, you know, the good thing about this is we're having a discussion for the first time about public government unionism.
We are, and I think people are realizing that the right, and I'm making the emphasis for quotes, is not a right that comes from our lives, from our humanity, like free speech or thought or privacy or travel or association. It's something negotiated for in their contracts with the government. And if the government doesn't want it in the next contract, the government doesn't negotiate it for. I think this is the first time that the American public is recognizing and understanding that.
Well, that's right, Judge. We're having that discussion in the public domain right now, but Franklin Roosevelt knew this in 1937 when he was asked about whether or not we can bargain in government. He said no. It's unthinkable and intolerable that we would even consider that because the model does not apply. Oh. George Meany said the same thing in 1955. You can't bargain with the government.
Right, but so many state houses run by Republicans as well as Democrats. My own state, for example, New Jersey, not Governor Christie, but his predecessors, gave away the store, gave away the goods, gave the unions contracts that required the state to bargain collectively, gave them health care from day one on the job till the day they die, gave them a pension. Police, for example, in New Jersey can retire at age 41 after 20 years on the job at 80% of their highest pay for the rest of their life. These things are not written in stone, and different governments in different environments can change them, right?
Well, that's right, Judge. And it's not necessarily about the wages and the benefits. It's about the process. It's about injecting a private party into the labor management relations of the taxpayers and their elected officials. And how is it that someone, a private group, can get power equal to the sovereign to withhold necessary services of government? The model of private sector unionism, the confrontational collective bargaining model, cannot be applied in government.
Oh, my gosh. The public sector from the private sector is so different. I mean, take the teachers union, for example, where Governor Christie in New Jersey is doing battle, and Governor Walker in Wisconsin as well, is mainly with the teachers. They know that the kids are going to show up in class no matter how poor a job they do. They know the money's going to come from the taxpayers no matter how poor a job they do. They really don't have any competition. Oh, there are parochial schools and private schools out there, but taxpayers will continue to pay taxes, and middle-class folks will continue to send their kids to these schools no matter how lousy a job they do. So what incentive is there for them to do a good job, to save money, to educate children properly?
Very little incentive, Judge, because the system is designed to just reward time on the job and other elements of that. But the real secret to this whole debate is about compulsory unionism. You know, the common denominator of all the bills in the states that Richard Trumka just checked off is right-to-work protections for individual workers. And union officials don't want this to be known.
Explain how that works.
Well, a right-to-work law for public sector officials would mean that a worker has a choice whether or not to join or pay dues to a labor union as a condition of getting a job.
Right.
The Wisconsin bill has that. The Indiana bill has that. The Missouri bill has that. The New Hampshire bill has that. The Pennsylvania bill has that. This is really about their privilege of extracting dues from workers who may not want to join them.
So if these bills in these states that you just ticked off become law, then the unions can't force everybody to join them. Then you can say, I'll negotiate for my own job directly with the state, and I'm not going to let the state take my dues away from my paycheck and give it to these union leaders with whose politics I profoundly disagree.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. It's about the dues money. The idea of representing yourself in the marketplace is another question that goes to the right of collective bargaining or monopoly bargaining, in this case, in the public sector.
Quick prediction. We only have a few seconds on Wisconsin. Where do you see this ending? I mean, how much longer can they live in these Motel 6s in Illinois?
Well, I think there's a strategy in place. I predict, what I would suggest is the Republicans get together, take the bill apart, start trying to pass it. The Democrats will run back over the border to stop right to work.
Got it. Mark Mix, it's a pleasure. Very helpful. Thanks for joining us. The White House is slowing the process on granting permits for offshore drilling. No surprise. While the price for a gallon of gas is quickly climbing into uncharted territories. Is the Obama administration standing in the way of any solution? What do you think? Next. Libyan warplanes launched an attack on rebel fighters today in an effort to keep them out of Tripoli, where President Gaddafi still has a stronghold. This latest round of violence pushed oil prices as high as $106 earlier today. And as a result, gas prices continue to jump higher, with a gallon of gas costing Americans on the average $3.51. Charlie Gasparino from the Fox Business Network and my good buddy is here, and Nancy Skinner, radio host of The Nancy Skinner Show, joins us now. Charlie, to you first. The gasoline that went up so radically this week, actually, in 1 week,
pretty amazing.
It went from February 23rd to March 7th. We'll put the chart on the board. From $3.37, $3.51. A friend of mine in California told me she spent $4 a gallon this past weekend. Okay, but that gas is already here, and it has been here since long before the Libyan conflagration. Right. So how does the problem there affect the price of gas that's already here?
The price of gas, the price of oil is set basically off the price of oil, and the price of oil is set off the futures market. People betting what the future might be in terms of price of gas. And I'll tell you, I mean, ever since the Egypt situation erupted,
right,
you know, people have been betting whether this would spread. And if it would spread, that, you know, what you hear from commodities traders is that they were going to bet that the price of oil would get, it's not that difficult to figure out, go up dramatically, because unrest in that area equates possibly another sort of cutback in oil supply from.
Nancy Skinner, we all know what happened with British Petroleum. 31 oil wells out there. One of them was a disaster. Human beings died. There was tremendous ecological and financial damage. Now a federal judge has ordered the Obama administration to accept applications for permits. They refused. He held them in contempt. They accepted and granted one application, and they're still appealing him. The government itself says there's nothing wrong with the 30 other oil wells, which it ordered shut until the Gulf of Mexico could be cleaned up. Question: why shouldn't those 30 oil wells be opened in a time like this, when middle America is suffering with $4 a gallon gas? Why shouldn't we be drilling for more in a matter that's safe and that even this administration approves of?
Because we just don't have the oil, Judge. We have 3% of the proven oil reserves on the whole planet. So the oil that, even if they began drilling today, that's a decade away, would have nothing to do, as Charlie said, about the global market for oil. That's about betting. It's speculators driving. You said they're betting on the price of oil.
Nancy, the price of oil is set on the futures exchange.
Right.
If you're telling me that we're going to have more oil, if you're telling me we're going to have, we're going to have more oil in the future, the price of oil will go down.
So if it's
on the futures exchange.
Nancy, if the drilling starts tomorrow, as Judge Feldman ordered that it start, and the government's appealing him, that would lower the price of gasoline the next day, which would help all the middle-class Americans that need to put gas in their cars to get to work and to take the kids to school. No?
Absolutely, Judge.
Of course
no way would drilling tomorrow change anything with the price of oil today. This is a futures market. These speculators are saying,
hey,
it's
we're talking about
the
future supply.
They're running.
We're talking about the future supply.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Long-term, Charlie, yes, absolutely. We're going to have a problem because Saudi Arabia hasn't had a new oil field since 1973. So we need to invest in renewable energy, solar,
You know what's
hydrogen.
Outrageous about this debate is that people like Nancy are forcing us to be held hostage to that extremely volatile and, in times, insane part of the world.
How about that, Nancy?
We have oil here. We should be drilling here. We should be doing everything we can. We should explore green technology, but not roll the dice on green technology,
Nancy,
because it hasn't worked yet, and it may never work.
Nancy, I will give you the last word. The Middle East is a mess. Libya is on fire. Saudi Arabia could be next. Why should our livelihoods be dependent upon them?
They shouldn't. We should absolutely be completely independent of them, but we only have 3%. Even the oil companies know we don't have the oil, Charlie. We have to invent new technologies and start investing in them.
In Alaska. We have oil offshore, and we have oil in other places. And I'll tell you, we will. The price of oil will go down the minute they start drilling, and the minute we start embracing nuclear power as well. I know that's going to drive Nancy crazy.
Good one. Nancy Skinner, Charlie Gasparino, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Obama sending a clear warning to Libya today: end the violence, or you will be held accountable. What does that mean for the United States? Next.